In this episode, we go and world build a Halloween-themed world of spooky, scary skeletons sending shivers down your spine. Actually,
Isaac, you named the one thing we didn't do was skeletons. I forgot about skeletons.
Enjoy. Hello to all of you wonderful world explorers and builders. I am joined by Casey.
Hello.
And we here today are building a world of Casey's prompting, whereas usually I give a prompt for a world that we build, but today it is Casey's turn, and she has a spooky Halloween theme for us.
I do. It's a very Halloween themed, and that's the reason why I'm doing the theme, because Isaac doesn't celebrate Halloween, and therefore wouldn't. I mean, I guess you'd know enough to do a theme, but
I know about Halloween. I've absorbed Halloween through like media and stuff.
You just don't celebrate it.
I just don't celebrate it, but I know kind of what Halloween parties are like.
That's okay. Well, that's okay. You don't really need to know Halloween for this. You just need to know monsters, which I'm sure.
I've read Frankenstein.
Same.
And Jekyll and Hyde.
I have not read Jekyll and Hyde, but we won't get into that. So you remember a while back when we did the fantasy world and we just put weird twists on fantasy creatures?
Oh, so like milking a Kieran.
Yeah. I thought we could do something similar to that, but this time with like classic spooky monsters. So we'd make a world full of monsters and all of them have like weird twists that we've created.
Let's start with vampires.
Alright, yeah, let's jump straight in. Vampires.
Okay, so vampires. So what is a vampire usually? Usually it is a blood-sucking creature with superhuman abilities like strength, walking on walls and ceilings, ability to turn into a bat, and
hate sunlight and garlic and
wooden
stakes.
Usually turns to salt when it goes in the sun. Alright, so how can we twist this up to be magnificent?
Who said they had to be magnificent?
I mean, we don't want to... Okay, fine, we'll go with your array. Let's twist this up to be boring and dull.
No, that's not... No, I meant, like, you've made it sound like we had to make the vampires, like, a magnificent creature. Like, who says they have to be... They're already naturally magnificent. Like, that's one of their things, is that vampires are always seen as, like, royalty. And, like, high up, because they live forever, and they're establishing themselves vast wealth. But honestly, if you lived forever, you'd be poor most of your life, and you know it. But that's kind of... Or we could do the Anne Rice version, where they all become rock stars at one point in their lives.
Say what?
You should read the Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles. I think you would love it.
My experience with vampires is pop culture osmosis through Twilight and Hotel Transylvania 2.
Oh, no.
I haven't even seen the first
I was a little confused.
The second one.
I haven't seen any of them. No, Anne Rice's, like, a vampire trilogy, whatever it is so good. Like, it's the only... Like, I like the original Dracula, except the ending. I want to read the original vampire story, which I haven't done yet. I don't even remember the author's name, and I feel bad. And then Anne Rice's is my favorite version of vampires. They're just super cool. And
anyway, so we gotta world build these vampires.
We do. We need something.
Alright,
so they live forever too. They have that going for them. Eternal life. A lot of these monsters have eternal life. I guess that's something we should think about, is like, this is a world where I guess there's just a set number of inhabitants, and they have just lived in this world forever. Because they're monsters, and the way that they work is that monsters tend not to die, because they're already dead.
Okay, so in this world, monsters are immortal.
Yeah. So this is because monsters can't really reproduce that well. Some types can.
I've already got a fun little story.
Alright.
A monster that has found a way to kill other monsters.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun dun dun. Now you got a murder mystery
With
place
like,
where you
oh
shouldn't
my
be able to
god,
be
why does
murdered.
that sound so wholesome though? For some reason, like the idea of
Murder
no,
mystery?
no, no. Like, just picture this: it's like a bunch of monsters are working together to solve like a little murder mystery. I got like Clue vibes, which is a very just I don't know why. Like, you got your vampire in his Sherlock Holmes hat, and you got your little slime creature slugging around, messing with all the evidence and, like, tampering with it. And the other people are just like, dude, just stop.
It's just like, do not touch the evidence until I have placed it in a Ziploc baggie.
And even then, or he might even just be like the storage case, like the slime monster just comes up, and then once they've put it in the bag and stuff like that, it just zoops it into itself, and it just holds all the story, all of the evidence once they wander around.
Why has this not been done before? A monster murder mystery.
This sounds
Like,
so good.
sounds so much fun.
Let's just
This
world
is what
build
Hotel
this.
Transylvania should be.
I agree. That yeah, a monster murder mystery sounds very just. I don't know. I know it's like two really dark things, but when you put them together, it gives me like this happy, like warm feeling. Like it's a wholesome thing when you put these two very unwholesome things together. Two
Okay,
two negatives making a
we still
positive.
have not world built.
Food.
Like, at anything.
No. Okay.
Other than monsters live forever. How
And
far are
together.
we into this recording and we've only done one thing?
We don't need to talk about that. Let's focus down. Let's go back to the vampires. We just need something that puts them apart, that kind of helps us with this building of societies. Or we could do more broad-reaching thing, like, are they? Because I know in our fairy tale world, we had them all in their little separate districts, and then the one central district. Are we doing something like that, or is this more like a town, like Halloween Town vibes?
Either one, I think, could work. But if we're going with different districts, I would say that the central district would need to be Hotel Transylvania.
No. Denied. Vetoed.
Oh, okay. So Transylvania.
I mean, I guess let's come up with a clever name, maybe. Kapana.
Okay. Spooksville.
You know what? Maybe I forgot. This is us. We don't do names well. We're gonna put a hold on the town name, and maybe we'll become inspired. So yeah, so we could do that. So we'll have like this different districts, and I guess they're very open about mingling, like even more so than the fairy tale world was. So like monsters live, and maybe even like they mix and they have people living with others and stuff pretty well. But they do have their main districts, which I guess offer what they need to survive, what each section. Like the slime monsters live in like a slimy swamp.
Okay, so I already want to world build the swamp, the slimy
I'm
creatures.
up for that. Let's
So
go
what if
slime
they
creatures.
can like fuse with their swampy surroundings? Like they go into this liquid in the swamp, the murk or whatever, and they basically are liquid themselves, kind of like
Yeah.
almost soft jello like.
Yeah.
And when they go into the murk, they sort of become the murk, but like their central, I'm gonna say, soul or whatever is still in like one area that can swim around and move around.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you mean. They become one
Yeah.
with it. They blend in. Like you don't know they're there.
Yeah,
You could be bathing in them and you'd have no clue.
that is disturbing and disgusting, but yeah.
I wanted to put that image in everyone's heads, and I am not sorry about it.
Imagine if they found their way into the pipes and you started getting a shower of these guys.
Ew! I don't know. I don't want them. No, I don't want
I
to.
just wanted to put that image in everyone's head.
It's there. It's definitely there. Yeah, I guess that's a thing they can. I still like my idea of them being also like storage cases. They just store everything inside themselves.
Yeah,
So,
I like that. Like,
yeah, but so I think something cool maybe that they can do is that the slime doesn't like stick to things unless they
oh,
want
no,
it to. No, I
That
mean,
ruins the fun.
well, I'm
Where you're
sorry,
trying
when
to
they
keep.
want to get out their cell phone and they pull it out of their stomach, and if it's covered in slime, it's not gonna work.
Well, who said they have cell phones in
I
this
don't
world?
know. We haven't established what century they're in. Why
Um,
wouldn't they have cell phones?
I guess maybe only certain creatures would have cell phones, or the cell phones would have to be redesigned to adapt to different monsters. Because, like, if you're a
That could be
vampire
fun.
and you have 2 inch long fingernails, it's going to be kind of hard to use a touchscreen.
Just a little. I actually, have you seen the fake nails some girls do? They have no issues with touchscreens. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know how they function, but they're magic and they can. So that is not an issue.
Okay, so the werewolves, I don't think that their padded, furry fingers are going to do very well with touchscreens.
Well, I'm sure there's like voice commands apps and stuff. Like, yeah, of course, technology is going to adapt to the different critters and
Okay,
things,
so the
but
slime guy should have no problem managing his phone. Can slime even affect a touchscreen? Does he turn solid enough? Like, I guess that
uh,
this
no, because touchscreen isn't about solidness. Sometimes it's more like about like heat, a little bit too. Like it's pressure
it's about
and
being able to conduct electricity.
yeah. I don't know.
Well, it depends on the touchscreen.
That's
Because like a
true.
DSi, you can use anything as a stylus.
Yeah.
For like a phone, you generally need something that can conduct electricity.
I don't know. I think we're getting very off topic with the idea. I mean, I like the idea they have like modern. Like this is a more modern.
Okay.
They're in the 21st century.
Okay, so it's all more modern technology and stuff.
Yeah.
So, so what do the slime people have that they contribute to society and the economy, etc.?
Well, I think the biggest thing that they could do is being that they merge into water. Fishing could be a thing they add to the economy. Such
Ooh.
as, yeah, because, you know, they merge into the thing and the fish don't see them coming, and then the next thing the fish know, they're inside a slime creature. And they can then they won't eat, because slime creatures don't need to eat, I don't believe. So they can just export all of their fish to.
Okay, so we're establishing that everybody in this world they do need food to live,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, so they're immortal in the sense that they do not age, but they can still die.
Yeah. At least from hunger would be what I would say. So things, because a lot of these monsters, like a big part about them is how they can die, which I guess is another thing we need to ask ourselves: is do we want vampires to die via sun? Type thing. Is that something we want in
Uh,
this world?
like external deaths.
Yeah.
I would say that like for the monsters in general, because we want fun stories like that murder mystery story. I really want that. Part of the
Yeah.
idea of that was
That's
that the
like the short
monsters
story
can't
we'd write
die.
one day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the monsters can't die was the original idea, or at least they can't be killed. So
Yeah.
what we could say is they cannot be killed by an external force, such as a brick falling on their head or being stabbed, but
Or
they
sunlight.
can, yeah, or sunlight, but they can be killed through things like starvation. So, what if every creature in monster in this world had sort of an external force field to protect them from the external dangers, such
Yeah.
as random bricks falling from the sky?
And of course, we have the perfect monsters that could establish something like that, known as witches, which are very magical creatures who could definitely, I'm sure, be able, especially when you live forever, because this could be like early before the 21st century. Monster society was that they were dying via things like vampires used to die via from sunlight. Like that used to be a real struggle for them. Maybe. Oh, okay. I've got backstory. Okay, I'm giving us some lore to this world. So this world was actually our world. Okay, but that took a turn. It was back during a time when like humans run the world, and that was because monsters had weaknesses. Vampires couldn't be out in the sunlight. Witches could be burned at the stake. Werewolves did not like silver for whatever reason. Like, they all had these weaknesses until a group of witches one day decided to start working on a secret project where they made themselves immune to all external forces, and then they started granting it to select monsters until and then afterwards, like, humans can't stop them, and they just wiped the humans out, and they took over the world, and now they continue. These same people that wiped out these same monsters that wiped out the humans, are now living peacefully in this world that they've created for themselves. I do too.
I like this.
Because that's a thing that all these monsters now have. Like, every single one of these monsters is responsible for the extinction of the human race.
So now, perhaps, they're concerned maybe this mystery murderer that's going around. Like, I was thinking that maybe this murder mystery story, going back to that, could be about this guy that has found a way to kill monsters, even though supposedly they are immune to any external attacks or damages.
Mm-hmm.
So what if this murder mystery was people wondering, what if this is a human? What if this is a human that's come back for revenge and has found a way to bypass our defenses?
Or like,
and what happens? And how do we even find this person? What if it's not a human? It could be anybody. If we go and we find this person, what happens if we see him? He knows how to kill us. We're not invincible to this person. This person can get past our shield somehow. Yeah. We don't know how he does that. Is it a weapon? Is it some kind of a spell?
We don't know.
And how do we find this person in the first place?
And even if we didn't want to do a murder mystery, the idea of a human family somehow escaping the monsters and, like, having lived for centuries in secret, like, slowly growing, is a very intriguing story. Like, we're used to the stories of monsters we're used to two types of stories. We're used to the monsters living in human world in secret because they're the minority, and we're used to the people, like a very small group of people facing like one monster group. Like, it's all vampires or it's all zombies. But now we have a world where it's one small human family versus all sorts of types of monsters, and they are immune to everything except starvation, which is an important detail.
Yeah, why is it that we come up with these ideas that have potential, that have fantastic story potential, and no one's using them?
Yeah, I'm sad by this too. Guys, you have full rights. Take them, write, create, give us credit a little. Like, all we need is like a little mention. Maybe squeeze the podcast link in there. We'd appreciate that. But yeah, this is all we're here. We're here to create worlds which other people can use. We're not here creating worlds for ourselves. Do we plan to one day make... Yeah, we do plan to make short stories ourselves based off of these worlds, hopefully in the future, once we have a following that's actually interested in paying for that subscription service where they would get that, which we still don't have that type of following yet, so we're still not offering it. But once we do, so, share interest, and we will be more willing to do it. That's something we want to do, but with these worlds, the purpose of them is for other people to get inspired and to write in them and explore them themselves and stuff.
Yeah, we don't have the time to write entire full-length novels on all of these worlds. We have the time to make like one episode a week.
Yeah, and all these worlds deserve it. Like, we have some really good... Like, I'm loving this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say not all of the worlds necessarily deserve a novel, but this one I definitely think could work pretty well.
Yeah, it's classic Halloween. But so I want to throw an idea in there about the witches. So this idea is, do we think, so these witches are already like one of the most important groups out there. So I'm assuming they're like the High Council. They're creating the force fields. I don't think they can break them. They've created them and they can't break them. But do they have the ability to say, like, create almost new monsters? And
I'd say that's one way of having this world reproduce.
So does that mean that they're like younger monsters?
I would guess so.
So okay,
I don't see why not.
here's a crazy idea. So maybe in each of all of these societies, there's a bunch of monsters that aren't shielded. Like they're reproducing, living their life, and they can die via like murders and stuff. But there is a select council that has been selected for the shielding, and they're the ones that can't be killed.
Okay, I still want a murder mystery where the select council is being killed.
Yeah. For one, that feels more like motive driven, like you have a motive to kill these
Yeah.
select people. Also, this way you can still have your vampires that are affected by sunlight and stuff like that in this story. And things. And would that mean like humans kind of are needed? Because for a lot of these monsters, humans are a big part of the reproductive. Like vampires turn humans, werewolves turn humans, witches are humans who are trained in magic.
Do these witches ride brooms?
Oh, of course. I mean,
Okay, good.
I feel like that has to be a thing.
So what do the warlocks ride?
Well, warlocks aren't really considered monstery like, so I just assume like witches is a
Oh.
gender neutral term in this world, and they're all like just there.
Okay. Because,
It's
like,
not
witch is kind of non-human because, they got... Their noses are too long to be human.
Yeah, I guess witches are like the ones that are born with magic, while warlocks and stuff are trained. And this isn't about being trained. Like, these are monsters that are born monster or turned
Ooh.
monster.
What if anyone can become a warlock? Any kind of creature can become a warlock and learn to use magic in this world.
Ooh.
But it's like... It's one of those magic systems where it's like a field of study that you really have to work at to
and except
learn it.
yeah, and then you have the witches, which are just born magic.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have like the witches that are eternal and they have a ton of magical capability, far more than any warlock would.
Yeah.
And then somehow a witch gets murdered.
Ooh, dun dun dun.
It's like someone who has the capability of killing a witch is definitely
threat. A high
he's definitely
threat.
a threat, and
Yeah.
you have no idea who it is.
Yeah. Oh, this is so good. I also really enjoy like another story aspect is this idea of like a young whatever monster you want being trying to work their way up to being selected for the shield. Because over the centuries, I assume like they have. My guess would be I would want to say like every 200 years they pick a new person to be selected. Or I don't know. I'm trying to think like how like time works in the sense like I don't think it should be as often as terribly often, but that like one person gets maybe it's every 30 years, but it cycles through the different districts.
Maybe it's when the witches see someone worthy of being
Too.
immortal.
That could be it too. Just
And so it could really be any time. It could be 2 days from each other. It could be 200 years from each other.
okay, that could work as well. That'd probably work better.
Okay, so what constitutes someone being worthy?
I also think there is an element of balance of each district having a similar amount of immortals, which is what I'm calling them because what else would I call them?
Immortal slime.
Yeah, well, yeah, the slime district, they have their immortal slimes. Maybe we should, like, just rattle off some of the districts that are here so people can get an idea of, like, what we'd be working with. We've established that there are definitely the witches, there are the slime peoples, vampires is a big one, werewolves we've mentioned a few times. What else? What monsters? That's only 4.
Frankenstein's monster?
No, because those are just genetic.
Ghosts.
Ghost. Oh yeah, duh. Gotta have ghosts. I could just see the
So-
comments yelling at us. Where are the ghosts? It's like sorry.
Now here's the thing. Ghosts are already dead.
Oh, there's also zombies, but I don't feel like this is a zombie world. I don't think zombies have a place here.
Yeah, let's just leave out the zombies.
Yeah, we have a world of just zombies where they're intelligent, and it was a pretty good world. So just go watch that if you're into zombies.
Yeah. Anyway, so ghosts are already dead,
Yeah.
and they're more like a spirit.
Yeah, but there
They're
are
not.
ways to destroy ghosts, so they would like the second death.
Okay, so
Because
I guess
my thought is, so are vampires. Vampires are already dead. My thought is, so what the shield is doing is protecting you from the second and final death. So in this monster world, there are two deaths. There's the first death that then sets you on the path of whatever forever living monster you become, and then there's the final death where you cease to exist, or you go off to their heaven or whatever this world has. I don't think it's important to
okay.
establish
So
that.
if you die as a monster, so do you become a ghost then?
No,
Okay.
because ghosts are a first death. I guess ghosts are maybe one of the more common ones, maybe. Like, there'd be a lot more ghosts because there's a lot of people. So, I think what happens is, in this world, I think there are humans because they're needed for a lot of the transformations. But these humans at a certain age some of them, they just live their human lives. And then when they die, they become a ghost. Like, they get that choice. At some point in their life, they get a choice of a second death, of their first, like, what they want to become monster wise. And some of them would, so there's like werewolves, you would get bitten. Vampires, you would have all your blood drained, and then you'd have to drink their blood. It's a process. Witches, you can't. Witches are the only ones that they're born. Like, witches actually have like their own families and reproduce themselves. So you can't
Okay,
join
I
the
was
witches.
thinking witches were made in cauldrons.
I don't know.
That's how I imagined it.
I imagine witches were born normal, like human family type situation.
Okay.
What were the other
I for some
slimes?
reason
Slimes are the
imagined them.
same. Slimes, they just reproduce in their own little sections. So witches and slimes reproduce. But so what humans have options of is becoming werewolves and vampires because they need humans to like keep their population up. Did we have any others? That was it, right? And then the last one would be ghosts. So if you don't pick to be a vampire or a werewolf, you then become a ghost when you die. And I think ghosts don't have that terribly long of life. Like, I think ghosts are the only ones that don't have like a full time, like they don't continue forever.
Well, that's
They,
depressing.
yeah, eventually ghosts start to fade.
Ooh, and this is where you get like the writing on the wall that comes out of nowhere as the ghost is fading. That's in its last day, so it can't fully materialize,
Yeah.
and so it's communicating in cryptic fashion.
So ghosts would have more of a motive to want to become, because their fading is an external thing. So the witch's shield works on ghosts to keep them eternally on the plane. So when you become a ghost, you gotta prove yourself, and you've got that timer set for you to prove yourself to be. I think ghosts probably have the highest number of shielded after witches. I think witches probably have the highest, and then ghosts, and then the other three are on the same.
We
Just
still
'cause they
haven't
need it.
established what constitutes being worthy.
Yeah, I don't know. They're witches. What would a witch think is worthy?
Are these? I would assume that these would be considered good witches, because they're helping
Yeah, they're
people
living
alive.
forever. You don't want the world to go into chaos if you're stuck in it for all eternity.
Yeah, they're not evil witches. So, what would they consider to be worthy? You
Uh,
don't usually get stories with good witches.
it's becoming more popular to have stories with good witches.
Yeah, I mean there is an entire TV series called The Good Witch.
And
So
it's actually a pretty good series, just saying.
I have not watched it.
I don't think you'd care for it.
Oh,
It's a good series for like what I enjoy watching, but I don't think you would like it.
well, what is it that you enjoy watching?
It's a romance, okay? It's just a cheesy, good-natured with a romance with a little bit of magic.
Those can sometimes be good.
It is good. It's.
Yeah, I mean that those are often hit or miss. Like I like
I mean,
some,
maybe
I
you'd
don't
like
like
it.
others.
You'd have to try it, but anyways, that is totally off. Do you know the amount of times we like recommend TV shows and movies and stuff in this podcast?
Way too many.
No, actually, I think honestly though, I think it's okay because we're a podcast focused on writing and stuff like that. And to write, you have to read and experience other literature. So, I guess it's fair that
Go
we're.
watch Merlin.
Yes, please. I love Merlin. Anyways, what were we even talking about? Oh, what
Which is
qualifies?
what? Yeah.
I guess like heroic. I think it's. I guess it's kind of you gotta build a relationship with the shielded. You gotta get noticed by them. You gotta build up a good reputation and stuff. So it's challenging. It's hard. It's time consuming, which is why being a ghost is scary. Because I guess you would start as a human maybe, building that, establishing that, and it's just. And then I guess another thing is you have to be near death. Like you have to have. I don't know. They have to fear for your life for some reason too.
Okay, so like if you are a firefighter vampire.
Yeah, you would need it. You would. Yeah, I guess you would need to be shielded. Or so like for
I
a
guess
ghost.
as a firefighter would be pretty worthy because risking your life constantly to go and run into a burning building,
Yeah.
which I imagine would be very bad for a vampire. Like you turn to salt in the sun. What about fire?
Honestly, I don't think vampires are bugged by fire that much.
I don't know. I've never heard of their reaction to fire. It's always just been sunlight.
I mean, in the Alice Rice version, fire doesn't bug them that much, or at all really. It's sunlight specifically. But
Gamma radiation.
yeah. Yeah, but so I think that's kind of the requirement. So that's why some of the rare, I guess werewolves and, yeah, just werewolves would have the least amount done to them, just because for one, they live forever, so they're not like a fear of death. No, I guess they wouldn't. I guess they'd age, maybe. Still. I'm trying to like think how to make it where like shielding is needed. So I guess for vampires, they may be eternal, but they die in sunlight. So it's given to those who need that sunlight protection. Werewolves and ghosts fade away. So some ghosts if they want to keep a ghost around, they need to get the protection. I guess werewolves die of old age eventually, so they would get the protection for those they don't want to die. Witches wouldn't need shielding that much unless they're like people who are feared that someone would try to kill them, and they would get shielding that way. And which I guess means slimes probably have the least actually. For one, slimes don't die very easily, like because when you slice them, they kind of just can shield back. Like, how do you even kill a slime?
It's like I was wondering about that earlier. Like, the best way I can figure is you have to take the slime goop that their soul is in, and then separate it so much into like little tiny droplets that there's nowhere for it to go.
Honestly,
Or maybe
slimes might just
evaporate
never
the
be
slime
shielded because they just don't need it.
Yeah, maybe if you were to evaporate the slime that they are in, like, you boil it away.
Because I also imagine, like, slimes, they would, like, congeal together sometimes, and maybe if, like, you have a really aged slime, they just merge into a younger slime and, like, partake their wisdom to that slime, and then and that's kind of their way of dying. Quotation marks around dying.
Can the slimes talk? Do they have mouths and voices?
Yeah. It might be like an internal thing, like they say it's, like there's a voice in your head type thing.
Okay, so can they talk to people who are not slimes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say they'd have that ability to anyone they want. If anything, I think they could talk to trees and other things because they have this weird way of communicating. I don't think they have language barriers.
I say that they have very deep voices.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Probably better done than that, but yeah, I can agree to that. But yeah, so I guess slimes won't need shielding, just in general, just because of their lifestyle. I also always imagine the slime people as the outcasts. Or like they just don't want to be as part of like city life and stuff. That's just not their.
They're disgusting.
I wouldn't say that. I don't think that's why they're. It's just their lifestyle is a very different from all the others by a lot.
Their lifestyle is living in a swamp and fishing.
Exactly.
So what do they get in return for the food? Like what kind of goods would slime people want?
Oh, I don't know. I guess they need help building things. I don't think
Building what? They are slime.
I don't know, maybe they like
Living
little
holes?
huts. They might like having huts and decorating their houses with stuff. For all we know, slimes are very into interior decorating. And, they can't make that stuff themselves. And so why not? I mean, if you live forever, you're gonna want something to look at. So they might be into things. They might be materialistic. But it is definitely a trade, like they're giving people something they need to live for just pretty things in return and stuff. Which means they're really easy to trade with and like really good natured about like giving, because fishing and stuff is very easy for them, so it's it's just a good natured relationship. You live forever. You honestly, once you hit year 2000, I feel like you're kind of just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, you get me?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the only ones we really haven't we've kind of been avoiding vampires. But also like werewolves we haven't really talked about. I think we're good on ghosts because they're kind of pretty basic. They're the basic creature in this world. There's a lot of them. Most of them aren't worthy. Eventually they fade. The witches were pretty strongly established in what they're doing. They're the height of the culture. Like they are head monsters, and they literally decide who lives and dies in this world. And then we have the slime creatures who just don't die and live off in their little corner, fishing and looking at pretty things.
Now we gotta do vampires and werewolves. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how much. Vampires already have so much to them. Like, what else do you add or change?
Yeah, I think honestly we're good. I feel like classic vampires are pretty good in this one.
Yeah.
I like the classic vampire. I can't help it. Vampires are just cool. I don't want to touch them. So, I think what we should spend our last 10 minutes or so on is werewolves. I think werewolves need a bit more development. Because there are a lot of different versions of werewolves, and we need to kind of just establish what we want.
Okay, so I say that this version of werewolves is werewolves that they're massive snarling creatures in the moonlight in the Kingdom of Chicago, ruled by King Ferdinand.
I feel like you're referencing something and I don't know what it is.
I am referencing AI Dungeon.
Oh.
Our werewolf. Yeah.
Never mind.
Werewolf story where
it wasn't even
we were
supposed.
in the Kingdom of Chicago with.
It was
King
supposed to
Ferdinand.
be a detective story.
It was supposed to be a mystery, and it ended up being this weird horror fantasy, and then went into this weird fantasy realm with King Ferdinand and his.
If you guys have
and
no
carriage.
clue what we're talking about, because you probably don't, this is something that's on my gaming YouTube channel, which is linked in our YouTube, but not on our. I don't have our channels linked on Anchor, so you'd actually have to go to the YouTube channel, which is linked on Anchor. Which would then lead you to, and then on that YouTube channel, you'll see both mine and Isaac's YouTube channels. You should check both out. They're both fun and epic. And on mine is, if you type in AI Dungeons, 2 things will pop up. You should watch both of them because they're both good. But you'll see the werewolf one is the one, which is the more popular one. And then also we did a knights one. And I'm working on a third one, which is a wizard one, which will be coming out eventually. But...
The Knights one is more fun, though.
It is. The Knights one's better, but the Werewolf one is like what AI Dungeons is. More so than the Knights one. But the Knights one's more enjoyable. But anyways, that's what he's referring to there. We're off topic. We need to we have 5 minutes. Speed build me some werewolves.
Okay, Fluffy.
Okay, let's talk the transformation, I guess. This probably seems like the type of world where the werewolves need to be able to transform at will, not just like full moon.
Okay, so maybe during the full moon they charge their ability to transform, and then then they can transform whenever, but they can only do it for so long until their
They need the full
transformative
moon. Yeah.
batteries run dead, and then they need to wait for a full moon to transform again.
They have a limited number of transformations between full moons, and if they're not
rather than having a limited amount of time that you transform for, it's a limited amount of transformations.
Yeah, and I guess the more powerful you are, the more you have, like, or I guess maybe age or something. Yeah, I don't know how that would work. I think age maybe might make sense. Like, the older you are, the more you can transform.
We could also go to that whole warlock thing again, because we were talking about warlocks earlier.
Oh, and
maybe your magical capacity.
Make
your
it.
magical
I like
ability
that better.
increases your capacity.
Which probably means the werewolves are more likely to be warlocks than even the other monsters.
Yeah, or at least they're likely to have a low level of magic at least.
They have a strong,
they're
magical.
Magic.
Yeah, witches are the height of magical connection. Werewolves is second. Vampires would probably be third because they live longer, and you gotta do something. And at the ghosts would probably be in there somewhere, and then the slimes would be at the bottom because they could care less.
Who's ever thought of a warlock werewolf?
Who's ever thought of a warlock slime? I want that movie.
Yeah, slimes are always known as like the weakest of all the monsters.
I want
you could
someone...
just suddenly turn it into a warlock.
I like that. I would read that book in a heartbeat. So there's another story this world offers, a warlock slime. Just saying, this world's got that. You can have it here. But you also have a warlock werewolves, I don't know, they have just a deep connection to magic that's, I guess, more nature-based probably than the witches are. I just tried to make a plural again, so...
Witches.
Yeah. So, okay, I think that's pretty good. I think we're gonna have to leave it there just because this one's is a pretty long one as it is. But I think we definitely have our favorites. I think slime monsters took the win of us spending the most time with them.
Surprisingly, like, of all the ones, I thought that the slime was where we were going to spend the least amount of time.
No.
Because they're so simple. But no, it's like slime. That's what we're going to develop today. We're going to develop slime.
Yeah. If we had more time, I would say we'd work on werewolves and ghosts more, but we are only a 30 minutes to an hour long podcast, and also we like leaving up a lot of blank slate for you guys to fill in and to develop yourselves. So we've left plenty of room in this world for you. We've made a very strong base. We've got a firm foundation. Go off and build your own worlds on it, and let us know what you do. Like, I have a Twitter. Yeah, you can tweet us, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can leave comments about like what you've been doing. On Anchor, you can leave us little voice things, and you could like share stuff that you've been working on there. Lots of ways to contact us. We keep our eyes and ears open for all of it, so we're definitely open to any form of communication you guys want to give to us. But that is all the time we have for today, and we will see you next week where we will be having world building basics. I have a Thanksgiving themed one. So I have a world building basic that's kind of based around Thanksgiving. So see if you can try to guess what it is. I think it's a pretty easy to guess, but that's next week.
How to world build turkeys.
And on that note, I'm gonna say goodbye.
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky. Isaac and Cassie.